More than 90% of our worries never come true. Think about that for a moment. How many nights of sleep have you lost? How many times has your heart raced or your mind been trapped in scenarios that never happened? Now, imagine what your life would be like if you could free yourself from that burden and live with more lightness, focus, and tranquility. I know what you're thinking. More generic lessons from yet another internet guru. But I'm here with some scientific data and thoughts that, in practice, you'll see make sense. By trying to apply these lessons to your life, you'll witness the magic happen. Today we'll explore 5 transformative lessons from Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Stoicism, that can help you overcome anxiety and find peace even amidst the chaos of daily life. These are practical teachings that have stood the test of time and continue to guide millions of people in their quest for a more balanced life. These lessons have the power to change the way you face your fears and worries, but it's essential to follow along to the end to understand how to apply each one in your daily life. After all, Stoic philosophy isn't about complicated theories. It's about action, changing your perspective, and living more consciously and harmoniously. Stoicism, created more than 2,000 years ago, is based on a simple yet powerful idea: distinguishing what is within our control from what is not. And this is precisely where the key to overcoming anxiety lies. Marcus Aurelius, while governing one of the largest empires in history, faced enormous challenges daily. Yet he found ways to maintain calm and clarity. If he could do it, with the weight of an empire on his shoulders, imagine what you can achieve by applying these same lessons in your life. Let's dive deep into practical and timeless wisdom. Take a deep breath, set your worries aside for a moment, and come discover how to overcome your anxieties and live in peace. But first, let me tell you something. Here, we always bring practical wisdom and reflections that make a difference in daily life. So take a moment now to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any valuable tips. Let's start with a story to help you better absorb the teachings and inspire you to practice them in the opportunities life presents. It was a cold morning in Rome, and Mark, a young merchant, was nervously walking through the central square. He had lost sleep over the past few weeks, worried that his shipment of spices might not arrive on time. The delay could mean a significant loss. Anxiety consumed him to the point where he could hardly think about anything else. As he passed by the imperial palace, Mark was surprised by an entourage. At its center was none other than Emperor Marcus Aurelius. The merchant knew that this man was more than just a ruler. He was also a respected philosopher. Gathering his courage, Mark approached and asked in a trembling voice, "Your Majesty, how do you deal with so many worries? I am just a merchant, and I can't sleep thinking about all the problems that could happen." The emperor smiled gently and, instead of giving a direct answer, invited Mark for a brief walk through the gardens. As they walked, he began to speak. Marcus Aurelius pointed to the trees around them and said, "Look at these leaves swaying in the wind. They don't choose where they go, but they accept the movement. You, Mark, are spending your energy trying to control what is beyond your reach. Ask yourself, what can you actually do to address the delay?" Mark reflected. He realized that the only thing he could do was review his contacts and be ready to act as soon as the shipment arrived. Anything beyond that was futile. The emperor paused near a fountain and continued, "Anxiety is like this water. When it flows naturally, it is calm. But if you try to hold it or push it into the future, it overflows. Focus on what surrounds you now, not on what may or may not happen." Mark then looked at the garden. He realized that while he worried, he was missing out on simple moments like the pleasure of being there, learning from the emperor. They passed by a shed where workers were raising enormous columns. Marcus Aurelius remarked, "See those men? They face the difficulty of the stone's weight, but they know they are building something grand. Your problems, Mark, can be the same, a step toward something greater." The merchant began to see his delay as a chance to improve his organization and prevent future issues. As they continued their walk, the emperor observed, "Anxiety also comes from wanting more than we need. Ask yourself, do I really need so much success to be happy?" Sometimes lowering expectations brings more peace than achieving them. Mark realized that in his quest for growth, He had neglected the simple things he already had, like his health, his family, and the joy of living. Finally, Marcus Aurelius led him to a small terrace overlooking the city and said, "Imagine the worst possible scenario. Think about what you would do and realize that calmly, you will always find a solution. When fear is brought to light, it loses its power." The merchant reflected on this and saw that even if his shipment was lost, he still had the strength and resources to start over. The fear subsided, and he felt immediate relief. Back at the square, Mark thanked the emperor for his words and, with a lighter heart, returned to work. That night, he slept soundly for the first time in weeks. He learned that peace didn't depend on the arrival of the shipment, but on how he chose to deal with his worries. And so the emperor's lessons changed not only how Mark handled his business, but also how he lived his life. Now, stepping out of the story and into scientific data, here's an interesting study to consider. A study from Pennsylvania State University revealed a surprising fact. 91.4% of worries never come true. Researchers tracked 29 people with generalized anxiety disorder for 10 days. During this period, participants recorded all their daily worries. A month later, they reviewed the lists to check which of those worries actually happened. The result? On average, only 9% of worries materialized, and even in those cases, 1/3 of the time the outcome was better than expected. For 25% of participants, absolutely nothing they feared came true. The scientists focused on short-term, verifiable concerns like, "I don't think I'll pass tomorrow's test," leaving out long-term issues. The conclusion is clear. Many of our worries drain energy and cause unnecessary suffering. How about starting to ask yourself more often, what if everything turns out fine? This data, published in the journal Behavior Therapy in 2020, invites us to reflect on how we view life's challenges. Most of them are not as scary as we imagine. Now let's move on to the 5 lessons from the philosopher and emperor Marcus Aurelius to overcome anxiety. First, accept what you cannot control. Have you ever noticed how some situations seem completely beyond our control? Traffic jams, unexpected changes, or even the actions of others. All of these situations can cause frustration, anxiety, and stress. But Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson. Accept what you cannot control. Start by identifying what truly depends on you. According to Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not over external events. This means you can control your thoughts, your actions, and your decisions, but you cannot change the weather, others' decisions, or the past. When faced with a difficult situation, ask yourself, what is under my control right now? Focus on what you can do. For example, if a project at work is facing delays, focus on adjusting what is within your reach, such as reorganizing tasks or communicating better. Acceptance does not mean resignation or being passive. Active acceptance is understanding that you cannot change what has happened, but you can choose how to react. It's the difference between suffering the impact and deciding how to absorb it. Use the let it go technique. When a problem is out of your reach, visualize yourself letting go of that worry as if you were dropping a heavy object. Try this phrase: I cannot change this, but I can change how I feel about it. We spend precious time and energy worrying about things we cannot change. Instead, focus on what really can make a difference. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." List the things you can control. For example, your routine, your diet, your leisure time, redirect your attention to improve these areas. Whenever you feel frustrated about something beyond your control, take an immediate positive action. Read, organize a space, or call a friend. Accepting what you cannot control is not easy at first, but it is liberating. Remember, you don't need to carry the weight of everything. Focus on what is within your reach. Practice active acceptance and redirect your energy toward what truly matters. Second, live in the present. How many times has your mind taken you to places that don't exist? Perhaps you're reliving past mistakes or worrying about problems that haven't even happened yet. Does that sound familiar? As Marcus Aurelius once said, life is made up of the present moment. One of the main reasons for anxiety is a scattered mind. We are physically present, but mentally traveling to the past or the future. Living in the present begins with giving your full attention to the current moment. When you're performing a task, tell yourself, my only responsibility right now is to do this to the best of my ability. Try mindfulness. Pay attention to details like the sounds, smells, or textures around you. For example, while drinking coffee, notice the aroma, taste, and temperature. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, never let the future disturb you. You will meet it with the same reason you use today. The past cannot be changed, and the future has not yet arrived. All you have is the now. Whenever you start to worry about something in the future, ask yourself, is this happening right now? Create a daily ritual to release the past, like writing in a journal before bed to leave your worries on paper and begin the next day feeling lighter. Often, we wait for big moments to feel joy, but it's hidden in the small things. A smile, a sunset, or even silence can bring peace if we pay attention. Take 5 minutes out of your day to appreciate something simple like nature, a piece of music, or even your breathing. Make a list of 3 good things that happened today. This helps you value what you experienced in the present. A powerful tip for staying in the now is to create anchors that connect you to the present. It could be an object, like a bracelet or a necklace, that you touch whenever you feel your mind wandering. When you touch it, remind yourself, this is my moment. Living in the present isn't just a philosophical concept, it's a practice that can change your life. Start now, focus on what's in front of you, and discover the beauty that's always within your reach. Acceptance does not mean resignation or passivity. Active acceptance is understanding that you cannot change what has happened, but you can choose how to respond. It's the difference between being hit and deciding how to absorb the impact. Use the let it go technique. When a problem is beyond your control, visualize yourself letting go of that worry as if you were dropping a heavy object. Try the phrase, I can't change this, but I can change how I feel about it. We waste precious time and energy worrying about things we cannot change. Instead, focus on what can truly make a difference. Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. List the things you can control. For example, your routine, your diet, your leisure time. Redirect your attention to improving these areas. Whenever you feel frustrated by something beyond your control, take an immediate positive action. Read, organize a space, or call a friend. Accepting what you cannot control isn't easy at first, but it's liberating. Remember, you don't have to carry the weight of everything. Focus on what's within your reach. Practice active acceptance and redirect your energy to what truly matters. Third, reframe difficulties. Who hasn't faced a problem and thought, why is this happening to me? It's natural to react this way when confronted with challenges, but what if, instead of seeing the problem as an obstacle, you could transform it into a stepping stone for something greater? Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge carries a lesson, even if it seems impossible to see it at the moment. When we view difficulties as learning experiences, we shift our perspective and take the focus away from suffering. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? Write down the lessons you can take from this moment. For example, if something went wrong at work, perhaps it's an opportunity to enhance your skills or improve your communication. The words we use to describe our difficulties influence how we feel about them. Instead of saying, I can't handle this, try saying, this is an opportunity for growth. Replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. For example, switch, this is unfair to, how can I overcome this with wisdom? Imagine telling your story to someone else. What version of the story shows you emerging stronger and more resilient? When we face a challenge, we often spend more energy lamenting the situation than finding ways to resolve it. Shifting the focus to action is a powerful way to reframe difficulties. Make a list of possible actions, no matter how small, that you can take to address or cope with the problem. Adopt the mindset of, what can I do about it now? This transforms feelings of helplessness into proactive attitudes. Choose a difficulty you've faced in recent days. Reflect on what you learned, how you could have reacted differently, and what you'll do if something similar happens in the future. Share this experience with someone to reinforce your learning. Challenges are a part of life, but the way you view them can change everything. Reframing difficulties is an exercise in strength, resilience, and wisdom. Fourth, simplify your desires. We live in a world that constantly tells us we need more money, more success, more material possessions. But what if everything you truly need to be happy is already within your reach? Stoicism teaches us a powerful truth. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Marcus Aurelius said, "Wealth consists in having few needs. Many of the things we desire are unnecessary and only add weight to our lives. When you focus on what is essential, you realize you need far less to be happy. Make a list of what is truly necessary for your life. Health, relationships, quality time. Before making a purchase or an important decision, ask yourself, do I really need this? Or is it just a momentary desire?" Society teaches us to seek fulfillment in consumption, but Stoicism invites us to find happiness in character and virtue. Who you are matters far more than what you have. Invest in experiences that enrich your mind and spirit, such as reading, learning, or helping others. Whenever you desire something material, ask yourself, will this improve who I am, or is it just a temporary comfort? The relentless pursuit of the next goal often prevents us from valuing what we have already achieved. Gratitude is a powerful tool for simplifying your desires. Every night, list 3 things you are grateful for that day. This helps shift the focus from what's missing to what's already present. When you feel envy or desire for something someone else has, practice thinking, I already have enough to be happy. Choose a day to practice simplicity. Use what you already have, avoid unnecessary purchases, and focus on moments and connections, not things. At the end of the day, reflect on how you felt. Simplifying your desires isn't about giving up everything, but about learning to value the essentials and finding peace in having enough. As Marcus Aurelius teaches us, true wealth lies in our ability to live with less. Fifth and final lesson, face fear with rationality. Fear is a powerful emotion. It can protect us from real dangers, but it can also paralyze us in situations that exist only in our minds. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic thinker, said, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it with the same weapons of reason you use today." Fear often stems from scenarios our minds create, but which rarely become reality. When you bring fear into the light of reason, it often dissolves. Ask yourself, is this a fact, or is it just my imagination? List the evidence that supports your fear and the evidence that contradicts it. By doing this, you'll often realize that many fears have no solid foundation. For instance, if you're afraid of not being accepted in a job interview, reflect on your preparation, past experiences, and the real likelihood of something going wrong. A highly effective Stoic technique is to imagine the worst-case scenario and plan how to face it. Often you'll find that even in the worst-case scenario, solutions are possible. Visualize the worst possible outcome and write down the actions you could take to deal with it. Ask yourself, if this happens, what can I do to minimize the impact? For example, if your fear is losing an important client, you can plan how to prospect new clients or temporarily adjust your finances. Fear loses its power when confronted. Instead of trying to eliminate it before acting, acknowledge its presence and move forward anyway. Action is the most powerful antidote to fear-induced paralysis. Take small steps toward what scares you. Break the problem into smaller parts and tackle one at a time. Use the phrase, "I am afraid, but I can still act." This reminds you that you don't have to be perfect or invincible to move forward. Choose one fear that has been holding you back, but which you know you can overcome. It could be a difficult conversation, a postponed decision, or even something simple like trying something new. Face it with rationality and action. Fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. By questioning it, planning how to face it, and acting despite it, you regain power over your life. As Marcus Aurelius taught us, what frightens you is in your mind, not in reality. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. This shows that you're truly committed to seeking knowledge to improve your life and face challenges with more ease and awareness. This journey of self-discovery and transformation begins exactly like this, with small steps like the time you dedicated to yourself today. Now, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below about what impacted you the most in this video, or how you plan to apply these lessons in your daily life. And if you don't have anything specific to say, simply comment gratitude. That way, I'll know you watched until the end and are part of this growing and learning community. Thank you so much for being here, and if you haven't subscribed yet, take the opportunity to join us now. See you in the next video.